Welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host and founder of Prep Dish, Allison Schaaf. In today's episode, I am talking through grocery shopping when traveling. Before I get into today's episode, I have an email to read from Prep Dish subscriber Darlene. Darlene writes, "You all have come into my life at the perfect time. I was ready. Our meals this week have been delicious, have helped us gather as a family, and have helped me reach my goal to eat healthier. Thank you for staying on this entrepreneurship journey." Darlene, thank you so much for reaching out to us and letting us know how the meal plans are working for you. So glad to hear this. If you're listening to this and have not tried out our meal plans, we do have 14 days of free meal plans set up at prepdish.com/mpm, short for Meal Prep Monday. We also have our new Instacart links. These are links that take you to a pre-filled grocery cart, meaning all the groceries you need for your meal plan for that week are in a cart, ready for you to look at. You can edit, increase, decrease, swap brands if you want. If not, just, figure out your delivery date and there you go. Your groceries will be delivered for you. Easy peasy, makes the whole meal time process and everything that goes into it just that much easier. Again, if you're not a current subscriber and you want to try it out, prepdish.com/mpm. Okay, so for today's episode, I've been talking a lot about grocery shopping with the Instacart links. It's just something I've been thinking so much about. And one thing I wanted to talk about was grocery shopping when traveling. So this is one of my top, hacks, you could say, to make sure that I'm staying healthy when on the road, my family's staying healthy, and just to kind of keep us in a rhythm and routine. Also to save a lot of money, right? Like when you travel, it's amazing how much it can cost to have a healthy breakfast at a restaurant, when in reality, sometimes it's like, I just need a few simple items to get us through and that sort of thing. So I think I've mentioned in the past, but when we travel, I try and do one, maybe two meals out per day. Now there are days where it's a heavy travel day or, whatever, that's not realistic, or depending, on the vacation and where we're staying and all this and that. But in general, if we can get it down to one meal out a day on a longer trip, that's usually ideal. I also find it's easier for the kids to not be in a restaurant for 3 meals a day. So what are we doing for those other meals? Well, if we are at an Airbnb, a lot of times we will, we have the resources to cook meals from scratch and eat very similarly to how we eat at home. If we are on a car ride or a hike or anything like that, we're having to kind of be more creative with packing, foods that travel well and that sort of thing. But what I wanted to talk today about was more specifically, ordering groceries when you are traveling. So as soon, when I'm a week out from a trip, I start thinking a lot about the meals and the groceries and how to make all of that work. When we are on a road trip or something like that, I just know every few days I need to stop at a grocery store, run in. I kind of have a list. I grab the things and pick up what we need. So even if it's just for hey, we have a day of hiking and this and that, it's so much easier to run into a grocery store than to go into a convenience store to find, and maybe I'm going for the pre-cut stuff and the items are a little more expensive, but there's much wider range of options and healthier and that sort of thing. And oftentimes a lot less expensive just because you're going into a grocery store versus a gas station. And it's often not that much harder to make it to a grocery store versus a gas station. I've even found, especially Walmart stores are ones that I look for because they tend to be right off the interstate. So I don't really have to go out of my way to get there. But again, you're just going to open yourself up to a lot more options when it comes to food choices, whether it's for meals or snacks. But the other thing that I do is I will order groceries in advance of the trip. If you're staying at an Airbnb, you can set up an Instacart delivery and have the food, you can have usually it's a 1 or 2 hour window. So just, do that, for your arrival time. I've even done it where I'm not arriving yet, but I know maybe if I'm traveling with a group, my friends are there. So I have it arrive and just give someone a heads up, hey, these groceries are arriving. Can you just grab them before I get there? This has worked really well. So if it's a group thing at an Airbnb, I will order, the supplies needed for a cheese board and that sort of thing. So maybe we have a happy hour and some wine in the Airbnb before we go out. getting breakfast items, all these things. So using online grocery shopping and delivery when you are traveling can be such a smooth way, even if it's just getting a few staples in. So I wanted today, I'm going to walk through 11 sort of staples that would be on a grocery delivery order with my family, or if I'm like going into the store, this is what's on my list. So I've divided it up, and I just did kind of some staples that would be on my list when we're traveling, not really to make a meal or anything like that, but just for snacks, and when we are at home, I will say I have, kind of set eating times for my kids. It's not like a all you can eat all day. Like we have, set times for snacks and meals and that. And so, they have 3 snacks a day, and it's kind of like, I feel like when we travel, it's just a lot more snacking. It's also because it's hard to, if you're on a plane or in a car, to be like, oh, we're only going to have a snack at this time. It just kind of ends up being an all you can eat buffet all day for better or worse. So it's a little harder to stick to those rhythms on some of the travel days. So I've divided this up on things that I'm ordering when it comes to fruit, veggies, and then kind of some other items on top of that. So when it comes to fruit, the staples: 1 apples, 2 oranges, 3 bananas. Bananas are kind of iffy because they don't travel so well. And that's why also like pears don't travel well, but they're just so darn easy. And so as long as I kind of know to not let them get smushed at the bottom of a bag, I'll go ahead and include bananas in that staple of fruit list. And then a few vegetables that I like to do. There's 3 here: celery, cucumber, and bell pepper. Now, if I'm at an Airbnb and I know I can chop, I'll just buy regular sizes, quickly, chop them up as soon as the groceries arrive. But I found if I don't, I have celery I can do in like the pre-chopped celery sticks. Cucumbers, I can order those little like miniature ones, and then each person can kind of pick up a cucumber and just munch on it. You don't need to chop it. And same thing with the bell peppers. You can get those kind of mini bell peppers that are, I feel like they might have a name, but mini bell peppers that you can just kind of munch on. My kids love those things. So I'll just get those so I don't have to do any chopping. I like to get nuts. The nut that I find is kind of easiest for our family is cashews. That's kind of the one I go to, but I'll switch it up sometimes and maybe pistachios or whatever it is, almonds. This next one, I do keep it as a staple. I will say it tends to make a mess. So sometimes I'm like, why do I do this every time? But just getting some popcorn, that's one that I don't know, it just seems to be really kid-friendly, easy. I don't know, kind of nice to have like a nice, easy, kind of healthy carbs to throw in there. So I add popcorn, and sometimes I regret it. Especially if we take it onto an airplane, I'm always like looking back at our seats like, oh my goodness, should I offer to vacuum, or what should I do here? It does make a bit of a mess. So I don't know, maybe I need to rethink that one. Another one is cheese sticks. Now, cheese sticks works better if you have a cooler. So, if we're traveling with the baby, often we're traveling with milk. So we'll have a little cooler for that, which is nice. Or I think it's the mini bell. There are some cheeses that don't require refrigeration. So sometimes I'll look for those. The next one, dark chocolate. This is mainly for me. I like to have my dark chocolate. It's easier. Just order some when I get there. Sometimes they'll have like different brands or flavors to try. So that can be fun too. And then the last item is lemons. This is because I like my morning lemon water. So that's something I always have found it's easier if I know that we're going to fit in either an order or a grocery shopping thing. I'll just order it when we get there versus packing it in my suitcase, which I will do if it's a short trip and we're at a hotel or something. And then bonus items. So I do sometimes order bars. The 2 bars I usually look for are Lara bars and RX bars, just, simple, clean ingredients. But for whatever reason, so I tend to prefer the RX bars. They have a little more protein. The boys tend to like the Lara bars. I think they're maybe just like a little sweeter, but it's really just fruit and nuts. So those are the bars that we're going for ordering bars. So those are our travel staples. Next time you're on a trip, and you don't have to plan that far out. You could even, while you're at the airport, hop on the computer or your phone or whatever it is and just see if there's same day delivery. If you're there in the morning and you're arriving at your destination that evening, you could hop on And there's a good chance that you would be able to have your groceries arriving at your Airbnb. And, I've done that where I've had groceries arrive so that we can have dinner when we arrive at our spot. That way, it's like if you get there and it's 7 o'clock at night and you're already kind of past dinner time, you can have food there, something quick, something easy, and not have to like go out to eat with the kids who are melting down and that sort of thing. So I find that the online grocery shopping is just a really sweet little hack to use when you're traveling to make sure that you have foods at the ready. And as a bonus, if you are at an Airbnb and want to do the Prep Dish meal plans, you could, of course, use our Instacart links, have groceries arrive, and have those meals kind of ready for the week, especially if you're like staying in one spot and have a kitchen and wanting to stick with some regular meals. Maybe instead of using them for dinner, you use them for lunches and you go out for dinner, whatever it is. But yep, that's all I have for today's episode. A reminder that if you have not tried out our meal plans, we do have a 2-week free trial set up at prepdish.com/MPM. I'm also going to mention if you are already a Prep Dish subscriber and you know someone, you have a friend or a family member that you think would benefit from Prep Dish, I would love if you could share that 2-week free trial. Send them do a screenshot of the show notes or just send them a text and say prepdish.com/MPM. Try it out. That's how people find out about us, is all of you talking about us and those folks that could, benefit from Prep Dish. So if you're listening, you use us, you love us, I always appreciate those referrals. It just really helps us to grow and continue to do what we do. So if you want to share that out, I would just so appreciate that. Okay, that's all I have for this week. I will be back again next Monday with another episode.